Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Alright, today we are going to return back to the deep dive into the realms of 4 Against Darkness. And we're going to take a look at 2 more supplements, and that is Dark Waters and the 3 Rings. Now I believe that both of these supplements were pretty early on in the 4 Against Darkness product line. Dark Waters was definitely one of the first books I got. I originally got the PDF, and I got that right alongside the same time, right along the same time when I ordered 4 Against Darkness. And I believe I got 3 Rings around that same time as well. So they are very early, and you can kind of tell that they are earlier adventures. I don't think they have quite honed the system. They're a little limited. I like 3 Rings a lot more than I like Dark Waters, but both of them are so cheap. They're practically impulse buys. I mean, if you were to buy a bag of chips, a candy bar, and a soda at a grocery store, they would probably cost you more than both of these books. So I can't really complain. And even though I don't love Dark Waters, it at least has some things that you can add to other games. And I think 3 Rings can actually be quite a bit of fun. So we're going to talk about that one later. So Dark Water. So Dark Water is an adventure for characters levels 1 and 2. And the back of the book says, one shipment of the ore-filled company has been waylaid in transit across the Sea of Storms. Cardalocan corsairs have captured the cargo ship and stolen the valuables, including prize golden statue of Tizani, the shark god. Lord Orfield needs brave adventurers to bring back the statue. But is this a run-of-the-mill recovery mission, or is some mysterious power at work? Dark Waters is a solo adventure for 4 Against Darkness consisting of 1 planned dungeon and 1 random dungeon. So in addition to so this was written by a gentleman named Jeffrey Baker, with illustrations by Jeffrey Baker and Andrea Safiligoy. So in addition to the adventure, in this particular supplement, you are also going to get a new character class if you want to play a kind of pirate class, and that is the Swashbuckler. So the first part of this adventure is going to be a adventure through this planned dungeon where you are going from room to room, and then as you go to each room, you are going to read the paragraph that corresponds to that room, fight monsters, search for treasure, that kind of thing. At the beginning of the adventure, you're going to read this little introduction, and then you can kind of pick a party to work for, a gentleman to work for, and it does slightly alter the outcome of the adventure a little bit. So overall, I think this is an okay adventure. However, it does have a couple major faults. And I think this was definitely before they started adding keyword systems to where the adventure, remembers things that you have done by calling back to certain keywords if you have found them. And there is a point in this adventure where you will reach a certain point, and the thing you are looking for gets whisked away by a creature. Because of the lack of a keyword system, there is no way for the adventure to remember that you've been to this certain location and that something that you are looking for, the state of the adventure has changed. So I kept moving around the dungeon trying to find something that I had missed in order to find the thing I was looking for, not realizing that I really just needed to give up and complete the adventure to move on, because that thing would be found in part 2. So if this had a keyword system where it says, if keyword escape or something, or theft has occurred, then go to this part of the adventure. So it's a little clunky, And I think I was overthinking it, because I was thinking of a game like, you know, Fabled Lands or something that has a keyword system where a simple paragraph adventure can remember things that you have done. But after you decide to, or after you figure out that you need to bypass and just return to the end, then you can go to chapter 2. You can read about the update to that, and then you go into a random dungeon where you are going to be rolling on your normal dungeon charts, creating a dungeon as you go in order to finish up the adventure. But even though I did not especially like the adventure as it is written, I think this book is still worth getting because it comes with some new charts that you can use for your lower level characters in a regular game of 4 Against Darkness. So you get a whole new table of vermin that you can use. You get a whole new table of minions, and you get a table of aquatic vermin and aquatic minions. So you could theme your regular adventures of 4 Against Darkness as you are going through aquatic caves or mine systems that have been flooded. So that is kind of cool. You could also say that you find cargo and like dark pools or a desk, and then you could just use these charts here to further augment and supplement and change your current adventures. But then you also get some new bosses, you get some new aquatic special features, some new weird monsters, new special events that take place in aquatic locations, and aquatic traps. So you could just buy this book and use the charts to supplement your other games. And in that instance, I think Dark Waters is worth the price, especially in a PDF because it's only a few bucks. So 3 Rings, this is another mapless adventure, kind of like Knight of Destiny, the quest for the Holy Grail. But this one, instead of rolling on charts, what you're doing is you are rolling 2 dice, and you're going to read that in a D66 configuration, and then you are just going to turn to the paragraph that you roll, read it, and have a random encounter. So you guys know how much I love random encounters. I know that at the Dungeon Dive, we are huge fans of random encounters, and this adventure really is just a series of random encounters, one after another. And there are things in this adventure where the adventure does kind of remember things you have done, because some paragraphs are unique, where you can only experience them once, twice, maybe 3 times in adventure. There are some things you need to keep track of, like a certain number of wolves that you have killed, and then here you can keep track of your unique encounters. In this adventure, you are trying to find a series of rings that have been stolen by these orcs, and you need to track down the orcs in order to get them. And you have to find a certain number of clues, and as you find those clues, you can spend those clues to help you find the rings, or sometimes you can randomly stumble upon the rings. I wish there was a system to, after a while, make finding the clues and make finding the rings a little easier, because I could see a situation where you are playing and just because of bad dice rolls, you may never actually find the things you are looking for. So if there was some better way to mitigate the luck in order to push the adventure forward, I think 3 Rings would be even better. But I had a really good time going through it just because of all of the random encounters. And like you would say, like you just start off and you say, okay, I'm at this forest, I'm going through the forest, what am I going to do? The first thing I'm going to come across is 42. Hey, that's a good number there. So then you turn to 42 and you read it. Matanagar. The party encounters a fungus ogre, a Matanagar. These powerful creatures are typical of the sun-kissed vale in the central Anmor continent and are extremely rare. So here, the first encounter would be a level 6 boss. So then you get to fight the boss and you do what it says, and then after you have done that encounter, well, you just continue going until you find another encounter. So this is for levels 3 to 4. There are a lot of boss fights in this. I think I fought like 5 or 6 boss fights on my trek to investigate and recover the 3 rings. But I had a lot of fun with this one just because of how much I like random encounters, and I do like books of just random encounters. But you also have some new charts here that you can use for other adventures. You have things like if you find a shrine, so you could say like you could use this chart here for shrines that you've located if you want to customize your adventures, or mysterious challengers. You have a pile of skulls that you can find, a merchant's table, a cabin. So these are all just things that you could add to your other games. And again, even if you don't like the adventure that's here, if you were just to buy this PDF and combine the charts for other games of 4 Against Darkness, you would have some really cool things to add. An old oak tree, maybe a mushroom, a grove of mushrooms, giant spider webs. You can run across a jolly halfling. Or here you have your orc reavers. Those are like the orcs who stole the rings and that kind of thing. So yeah, even though I don't love these 2 supplements, I do think they offer enough, especially if you're just looking for ways to augment your normal games of 4 Against Darkness. I do still think they are worth purchasing just because they are so cheap, are so easy to get, especially if you just get the PDFs and you want to print out those charts to use in a whole bunch of other games, because with those charts, it really does add quite a bit to low level play. So all right guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is going to be the last video for a while in the 4 Against Darkness series, but don't worry, we are going to return to it, I promise you, because there is so much more to look through. I finally have my characters up to level 4, so the next thing I'm going to be going through is the Fortress of the Warlord. I know quite a few people have been asking about this, but we still have all of these books to go through, and that is also not including all of the decks of cards, the deck adventures to take a look at. But we are going to be moving on for a little while into some new things. The next thing, I asked the Dungeon Dive patrons what they would like to see next, and they voted for Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. So a video for that is going to be coming this week. And then also, I believe starting this week, maybe early next week, we are going to be diving into my solo RPG Let's Play with Scarlet Heroes, using this as the base rule system, and then using some stuff from White Box as well as a whole bunch of things from other games, including that amazing overland map from Dream Wars, the game that we just took a look at last week on the channel. So all right guys, well, take it easy and we will talk to you later. Bye bye.